wrestling action figures worth a fortune. Yeah. You talking about them old, the old school ones, you damn right.
Throughout the years, countless pro wrestling action figures have been produced. What the average consumer doesn't realize is that the same toy that's currently sitting on store shelves could one day be worth a ridiculous amount, much like some of these action figures. The Hart Foundation LJN 2-pack. WWE's tag team division during the 1980s is widely regarded by fans and critics alike as being the best ever. The division was jam-packed with talented performers and legendary teams such as the British Bulldogs and the Hart Foundation. As a result, a few of the more popular tag teams had LJN action figures produced. Every LJN tag team set ever produced has seen its value rise a great amount. However, perhaps the rarest and most expensive of these sets is the Hart Foundation. LJN also released individual figures of Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, but the Hart Foundation box set in good condition could net upwards of $2,000. Macho Man LJN Black Card Series.
Oh, I know about
Macho
that.
Man Randy Savage is among the most legendary performers to ever work for WWE. Despite having been deceased for over a decade now, Savage remains one of WWE's biggest merchandise movers. From shirts to action figures, anything Macho Man related typically sells well. With that in mind, it should come as no surprise that the LJN Black Card Series Macho Man figure is among the rarest and priciest figures around. To some collectors, the Macho Man Black Card LJN is the holy grail of LJNs. They are extremely hard to find, but when available, they can sell for up to $4,500.
Woo! Oh, damn, man. I'm getting into this now.
Most people have no clue that in 2023 the best way to make money on Amazon is not with physical products.
Dusty Rhodes Hasbro.
Yeah.
Despite LJN being WWE's first official toy line, WWE's Hasbro toy line is widely considered by many action figure collectors to be the best WWE toy line ever. The articulation on the WWE Hasbros was always limited, but they certainly captured the essence of the performers they represented. Hasbro was also the first wrestling toy line where the action figures had some type of action feature. As far as grails go for the Hasbro line, Dusty Rhodes is near the top of the list.
Yeah.
Some fans might hate Dusty's time in the yellow polka dots, but a yellow polka dot Dusty...
Yeah, that, I already know, the Dusty Rhodes, Andre, and, I know the Akeem. I know those three. I know there's more, but those three right there, if you got them fresh in the package, you got something there. I know for a fact, because those three is rare. Those three I never seen in person. I only seen them on pictures. I'm trying to think who had, even a kid down the street who we knew back in the day. He had a box full of wrestlers, but even he didn't have none of those. Yeah, he had a bunch of them. He didn't have Dusty, Andre, or Akeem.
Dusty Rhodes Hasbro can fetch a ridiculous amount online. A graded mint-on card Dusty recently sold for nearly $10,000. The Ultimate Warrior LJN Black Card Series.
Oh yeah, the Warrior.
The WWE LJN Black Card Series was the final WWE
I'm thinking
series
Hasbro,
ever.
my fault.
It also happens to be the rarest. Ironically enough though, the rarity comes from the fact that the final series wasn't even produced by LJN. By the time the final WWE series was set to release in 1989, LJN closed their toy division. This led to a Canadian toy company, Grand Toy, producing the final series. The change in manufacturer and the fact that it was the final LJN series has made this entire series worth a fortune. The Ultimate Warrior's first WWE action figure just so happened to be part of the Black Card series. Today, if you're lucky enough to stumble across a Black Card Ultimate Warrior, it could set you back as much as $2,200. The 123 Kid Hasbro. The final series of any toy line can make all the figures in that series especially rare. Much like the final series of WWE's LJN figures, WWE's final Hasbro series has become highly coveted by collectors. The Green Card series included Ludwig Borger, Adam Bomb, Bart Gunn, Billy Gunn, Crush, Yokozuna, and the 123 Kid. Perhaps the rarest of all of these figures is the 123 Kid. The Kid wasn't the
Never seen
biggest
him
star
either.
in WWE
Only
at
on
the time,
pictures.
but he was a key figure during WWE's New Generation era. Depending on the condition, a 123 Kid Hasbro figure can cost between $800 and $1,100. Marble Ultimate Warrior Jakks Pacific exclusive. The Ultimate Warrior is one of the most complex figures in wrestling history. On one hand, many accounts paint him as a terrible person who only wrestled for money and who looked down on anyone who actually loved wrestling. On the other hand, he was one of the most memorable and iconic performers to ever set foot in a ring. In the early 2000s, the Ultimate Warrior signed a deal with Jakks Pacific to release a series of extremely exclusive figures. One of those figures was a marble Ultimate Warrior. Only 20 of these figures were believed to have been
I've never
produced,
even seen that
and
one.
finding one out in the wild is difficult and could cost upwards of $2,500. Hasbro mail-away figures.
Oh yeah, of
There's a
course. So.
certain nostalgia that WWE Hasbro figures provide for some collectors. For many collectors, the Hasbro line is a callback to their childhood or early pro wrestling fandom. While all WWE Hasbros are worth more now than they were at the time of their release, there are two specific series that have ridiculous value: the Green Card series and the mail-away exclusives. The mail-away Hasbro series consisted of only Bret Hart, The Undertaker, and Hulk Hogan.
Hogan, yep.
The Undertaker and Bret Hart were basically re-released with only slight differences from their original figures. However, the Hulk Hogan mail-away was unlike any other Hulk
Yeah, that was the
Hasbro.
one that was.
Today,
That's worth something
these
there.
figures
boy.
are worth anywhere from $2,000 to
Woo,
$4,000.
woo.
Miss Elizabeth LJN Purple Skirt variant. Modern day wrestling figure collectors will let you know it's all about variants. Today, variant figures are the apple of many collectors' eyes, and with good reason. Variant figures are essentially limited edition releases that are lumped in with a regular action figure series. Nowadays, collectors are conditioned to seek out variants. Back in the 1980s though, the wrestling figure community was still in its infancy, and without the internet to rely on, information wasn't as readily available. That's what makes the Miss Elizabeth Purple Skirt variant LJN so valuable. It's one of the first variants created. That's because the common Miss Elizabeth LJN had a gold skirt. A purple skirt variant is nearly impossible to buy today. The last one sold for $1,800, but it's fair to assume that if another one surfaced, it would go for well more than that today. Sergeant Slaughter mail-away. The Sergeant Slaughter mail-away
Oh,
figure
yeah.
is one of the most interesting and sought-after wrestling.
That's what I was talking about. That's the G.I. Joe. That's a mail away. And somebody actually, which I know I wish I still had it, but yeah, that's been 30 years ago. That's long gone. Woo! Because that's the one with, you can't see it, but it says G.I. Joe on the side of his on the side of his pants. But yeah, that crap is. I know all of them are worth something now. Cause damn.
Figures ever. Its appearance is extremely misleading. To the naked eye, this Sergeant Slaughter looks like an LJN figure. Many collectors who own the figure even display it with their LJNs. In reality though, when the figure was released in 1987, Sergeant Slaughter
yeah, Joe.
didn't work for WWE. The figure was made and sold by Hasbro. Making it look like an LJN figure was just a brilliant advertising move. In 2021, Mattel released an Ultimate Edition figure based on this exact Sergeant Slaughter. And today, a mail-away Sergeant Slaughter may cost between $800 to $2,000.
Damn.
Kamala Hasbro, Moonbed.
Oh, the Moonbed. I remember. Yeah, I heard about that
Logic would
too.
indicate that the biggest stars in pro wrestling history would end up being the ones who have the rarest action figures. Although there's a handful of extremely rare Hulk Hogan figures out there, that isn't always the
I had
case.
that Hogan.
Sometimes, obscure characters end up having the rarest figures. The Kamala Moonbelly Hasbro variant is a great example of that. Kamala was a great performer, no doubt, but it would be a stretch to call him an all-time great. Despite that, the variant Kamala Hasbro with the moon on its belly instead of the star is among the rarest WWE figures ever. A mint, on-card version of this figure could go for up to $10,000.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Oh, that's it. Okay. Oh boy. Yeah. 'Cause I got yeah, I'm not gonna go pull it out the drawer, but I got the I showed it before. The Wrestling Magazine with all the Hasbros, all the LJNs, and a lot of the independents. What did you call it? What else? Oh, the AWA figures. This was back in the early 2000s, so this was the Jack Pacific days. So, but I knew half of that stuff was worth something. But even like I said, let's say if you got it in the display case sealed up in mint condition, it's still worth something. In that like that plastic case that whatever that dude had, I don't know what you call the figure. Excuse me, case. Yeah. But I knew about the Macho Man, and I knew about Dusty Rhodes. I'm surprised he didn't mention Andre and what's his name, because that Andre, even loose, that crap is hard to find. Never seen any of them. And like the later wrestling superstars, only seen them in pictures. Like Hogan with the white trunks. Never seen a Warrior, only on pictures. Jake the Snake, same thing. And can't remember who else was on there, but yeah, I knew that stuff is worth something. Especially those are the old school collector. Know about all that stuff. Like the one dude I did a video months back. He had the whole case. He has all the figures, even the what do you call them? The prototype, but unpainted. So, and he had some kind of rare Sergeant Slaughter. So, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, all that stuff. It's hard to find. Even looking on what do you call it, eBay. If they have it, it's gonna cost more than $100. So, all that shit is hard to find.